guys, it's just a quick video about the difference between this new logic and the old QDB robot logic. And so what it is, in the old days, what would happen would have like the bubble deviation, and we'd assume that they would hold on to that bias. Okay, so this is Aussie and this is USD. Now the old logic was a bit flawed in so much as that we thought they would hold on and they could add to that position, but what we're seeing is that when it comes down here, it will tend to hit their stops or they'll take profit, and then by doing so it hits like a bit of a brick wall. And then this action here, this is the key thing with the 2.1, is that it will move and these bubbles will come closer together, and that's the only difference. So version 1 of the logic was we would assume that they would hold on and the bubbles would continue, but if we found out that they don't, and they're actually, what they'll do, they'll get exhausted around the extremes. And what will happen, a very common occurrence with retail traders, once they've made a bit of profit, they'll exit, but they'll exit en masse, and that big shifting of them exiting shifts the bubbles, and so we see a convergence. So over Asia we see the divergence, so this movement, that's fine. If you're awake during Asia, you can trade that bubble deviation, but come London we'll see a bit of exhaustion and then we'll see a convergence, and this is basically the 2.1 logic. So what will happen is that we'll have to have like slightly wider stops, because this movement here, while they're deciding what to do, that can take time, and then it does this, and like, as it comes over, so we're basically capturing it at the very early stages while they're trying to make up their minds and while they're getting out either at profit or a loss. So we'll enter and then we'll see that convergence, and then obviously that would come down as well. And so that's basically it. So it doesn't need to be a particular long video, just to say the one logic, the version 1, is that we would trade that extreme and then hope that they would continue, but we found out that it doesn't, and they'll get out, you know, at a very small take profit or a loss. If you think about it, your own personal experience, if you've made 40-50 pips, you know, you could probably exit, couldn't you, really, because that's like a decent trade, you know, it's a decent result for a day. If you think about that en masse, it's going to impact the sentiment. So this, it could be SL or TP, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's just that we'll just anticipate that reversal, and then we'll get that reversal, and then we'll have an excellent early entry. In fact, we might be a little bit early because we often get a little bit of drawdown at the start because we're waiting for them to make up their minds. So this is why we need a little bit of a wider stop to start, but then we get a nice early entry, and away we go. And it does help if we have the fundamentals with us as well, because we didn't last week with the Aussie USD. Things were going very ugly on the fundamentals and we were quite risk off, and it looked quite scary at one point on Aussie, and I'll bring that across. And so we got the we got it on the buy, and luckily our wide stop was okay, right? So we would have let's have a look. Yeah, so 6730, 67. Oh no, hang on a minute. 637, so 64. We would have entered here-ish for a long, and as you can see, we did okay, right? But we had to have this wide stop to cater for this, and this would have come down and take a lot of stop loss clusters as well. So we have to have a wide stop to cater for that, and also really for the stop loss cluster probe, you could argue. And of course what happened is that it really pumped as expected, as fully forecast in the Discord. Like I said, exactly, it panned out exactly how I said it would, and of course we pumped and then we fell. So we would have been okay. We might have been up a little bit, but we got out at a really nice place and we made some nice profits. So that's it really. So like I said, it doesn't need to be a long video. Just the difference in between the old logic and the new is that the new is that we're going to see the convergence, and the one is the divergence, and we would assume they would hold on to that bias, but not necessarily, because they're going to take profit or get stopped out. and so we're going to get a nice early entry, and that's the 2.1 logic. Okay, so any more questions, let me know. It's important that you understand how it works, and fingers crossed we have a really good month in October. But you can see how we did in September. It's pretty decent, and there's the old logic there. So I wish you a good weekend. I'll speak to you guys soon.